Hello, Artsies, and welcome to the final project of the grade 12 art year. The final performance task is something called Shameless. And what you're going to do is you're going to really pull out all the stops. You're going to shamelessly copy aspects of artists that you love. That's why we're calling it Shameless. And so this is ultimately going to be your final project that you're going to put up in your art show um, at the Spring Expo. All right. So here is the creative challenge for the project: is essentially how might you steal from artists that you adore to create a work that is uniquely your own. So you're going to take a look at artists that you just love, and you want to use their imagery. Maybe you love their design, the way they do their technique, their color palette, the way they paint, if they're a painter, that kind of thing. And you're going to like, I want to do that. I want to work in that style. I want to use that imagery and make it my own. So in order to walk you through this, we're going to go through 4 stages. The first part is a learn and explore phase. The next part is building up your idea and to create your final design idea or your artwork idea. Next part is to share and reflect, and we're going to conference you and I about your idea. And the last step is to actually ultimately create. So let's dive into it. So first up, we're going to have our learn and explore section. Now, this is some kind of independent learning and watching on your own. When we talk about copying imagery from another artist, it is called something like that is appropriation. Now, this isn't cultural appropriation. Appropriation in art is very commonly used by a wide variety of artists. So I have a series of videos that I'd like you to watch independently about that. And so it's about using those pre-existing objects or images in your art with kind of like you can totally recognize it. Think like Andy Warhol with his soup cans, or Marilyn Monroe, which we'll show you. So there's a video here. By CBC Arts, Art 101, What is Appropriation? A quick video I want you to watch. And then next up, there another perspective on this, another take on it. It's by Little Art Talks. And I'm going to get you to watch this independently. And the third video I want you to watch is actually a little different because it is about music, but essentially, as creators, what you're going to be doing in this project is sampling the work of a different artist. So using that, thinking like a DJ or a music producer, where you're using something existing and resampling it to transform your artwork in a new way. So there's a great TED Talk by Mark Ronson, who's a very famous DJ, record producer. He worked with Amy Winehouse. He's the one who created Uptown Funk, which is such a great track. And this is a great TED Talk about how sampling transformed music, which is a little bit of a tangent away from art, but the meaning, the ideas apply just the same for what we're going to do for this project. You're going to dive a little bit deeper. There's the art assignments video, The Case for Copying, talking about why copying is important to art history and artists. Those are some videos you want to watch. This is a very kind of a famous quote about how good artists borrow and great artists steal by Pablo Picasso, and that is kind of like the frame that we're using for this project. And so this is Sarah Alwa on TikTok that is all about how you can take different aspects from different artists, the color palette, the technique, the idea, and use it for your own in order to create truly great art. So this is a quick 1 minute TikTok video by Sarah Alwadi, who has a great take on that as well. So to sum up the first part of the process, creative process, that exploring. So you're going to explore the ideas. What is appropriation? Watch those videos and make notes in your sketchbook. Then art world inspiration. Whose art do you adore? What art can you steal? You're going to take some ideas from different artists and artists in order to steal ideas from Shepard Fairey and Banksy and Van Gogh and whoever you just the work that you just like totally adore. Now's the time, if you're into Pinterest, to Pinterest the heck out of the images, to collect some ideas, and ultimately you're going to print those out and put them in your sketchbook. And then start to play. How do you think you might like sample or copy? Maybe it's the imagery that you love and use it in your own work. Here's some examples. So here is a very famous painting. You might have seen it before. All right. So you've got Da Vinci's Mona Lisa recreated or appropriated and reimagined in 18 different ways, according to some different famous artists and different ways of thinking about reimagining the artwork. I mentioned him earlier. Andy Warhol is a really famous artist that uses pop culture imagery and appropriates them, steals them, takes that. He didn't take that photo of Marilyn Monroe. He is reappropriating it and using it in a different way. Just like the Campbell soup cans. Banksy, famous street artist, appropriating the imagery found in the Lascaux caves and the cave paintings to make a comment about street art and how we view it in the world today. This is a great example here. So this is on the left. There is Death of Marat by David. It's a very famous painting from 1793, and it depicts the murder scene, actually, of a revolutionary by the name of Jean-Paul Marat, and it was during the French Revolution. He edited a newspaper, and so you can see some aspects of his work here. And he's actually sitting in a bath. He had a really bad skin condition, which required him to sit in a bath for lengthy hours in the day. And he was actually stabbed in his bath by a counter-revolutionary, and so this depicts this moment after his death. And so this is a really famous painting by a famous artist. You can see it in the Louvre, and then it has been reimagined and reappropriated in so many different ways. You can see a Star Wars reimagined here, or a more contemporary reimagined with the laptop and the cell phone and things like that. So you can see here a good example there of that. All right. So on to section 2. So section 2 is about building on your ideas. So this is where you've learned the concept, and now you have to find examples and reimagine them. So here is kind of the starting point of the idea that I've got from the project. This is John Pilson, who teaches at the Yale School of Art. And he says this: shamelessly copy the artists you admire, but copy more than one at a time, and use their styles and approaches to create things that you're drawn to by private understanding or inexplicable desire. The operative word being shameless. That's where I got the word from. This is the source of this whole idea that connects to Pablo Picasso and in all that learning that you just did from appropriation. So to build your idea, which artist do you want to steal from? You could take their subject matter, their technique, their media, their imagery. How can you pay homage to the artist that you love while still making an original work? And this is where we're making the connection to Mark Ronson. You're like a DJ or a record producer. They sample work, but they're creating something fresh, something new, something their own. Your goal is to do the same with art, is to pay respect to the artists that you're stealing from, that you revere. They are so amazing, but you're not trying to engender a copyright lawsuit. You don't want to just look like a derivative fan art version of their painting. You want to create something that is your own. So how are you going to put a new spin on that? So if you're you're like, I don't know where to find art. Well, here's where you can find art. I mentioned Pinterest already. These are great art websites and blogs. So High Fructose, Juxtapose, and others. This is Colossal is really, really good too. Click through there. Just start to browse through the various blog posts, see which kind of work that you love and you really respond to, and start to save some of those images. In the building process of you're going to kind of narrow down to one or two or three or more kind of artists. Which ones are you ultimately going to sample? You really like the subject matter of this artist, and you really like the color palette of this artist. So you're actually going to start to copy the artist's work in order to practice and get used to it, making a final sketch of how you're going to sample the work of two or more artists and kind of organize the sketchbook. The sketchbook is an integral part of this project, and it's going to be on display with your work. So think about it being your thinking, your scrapbooking, your process of like pulling and practicing and growing. So that it's an important part of the process. All right. Then once you're ready, you have an idea. You're like, I want to copy this artist, but I'm going to do this to make it my own. It's time to conference. All right. So you're going to conference with me about 1 week in or earlier if you have an idea and you're ready to rock it, but not later than 1 week because you want to have time to pull off your project. Obviously, you've been asked to document as you go all semester long, and you're going to continue to try to do that. We're going to talk about it, have your idea and your sketchbook and your research all ready for the conference, and we're going to have a chat about it. Maybe I'm going to kind of give you a few pointers about how you could make your artwork better. Take those ideas, make it better, talk to your classmates and fellow artists in the class to get feedback from them, and kind of reflect and write and dialogue in the sketchbook as you go. All right. And once you get that feedback and you have your idea and you're ready to create, now's the time to actually do it. So because this is a final performance task, we got a bit of a tighter timeline on this. So you want to kind of keep that in mind. I've got a calendar for you to stay organized, to stay efficient, getting the art done. Obviously, this is the final work. You want to have the work that is refined, substantial, kind of show off your growth as an artist at the end of the project, and kind of push yourself in different ways. So here's the calendar that we've got here. So our first week with the intro, the first part you're going to learn and discover artists and practice and copy. At that first weekend, the first weekend you might consider doing some extra work in your sketchbook, and 1 weekend where you're going to conference with me, it gives you almost 2 weeks to actually work on the final work itself. All right. The playbook, because it is a final performance task, this is work that should be done in class. The sketchbook stuff can definitely be happen in class, but the actual work itself should be done in class in the art studio. If you need extra time, which inevitably sometimes you might need, remember that the art studio is always open at lunch and you can be used at any time. In order to get those extra hours in, if you've got a intricate or a big idea that you want to pull off. All right. All work is meant to be finished by the public exhibition date. All right. So that's your like real world due date. We're putting on an art show Tuesday night, June 13th. Everyone's going to be here to see it. So you definitely have to have it done by then. The planning and sketchbook, as I said, can be taken home. All right. So in terms of the success criteria, we're looking at 4 things. The sketchbook itself, as I said, is going to be on display. The artists that you have selected 2 or more artists, and you research them and you copied aspects in your book. Your artwork copies aspects from your artist, and it's well crafted, and I put a minimum size 2 feet or 24 inches in at least one direction, just kind of as a guideline for kind of like the scale of what the project should be in order to look impressive and look interesting for the final. And then the last one, as I said, putting up the work. All right. So it's going up in the art show, and being nicely displayed along with your artist statement and a sketchbook at the end. And there you have it. So that is the summary. Good luck with your ideas. I can't wait to see who you want to copy. And yeah, let's get creating.